What is cruelty? Is it when game players like us have a voice? Is it when someone is harassing another person? Do companies get the privilege of saying they are being harassed and have protections like people, or even better than people? I may or may not answer these and more questions when we have a good talk about this video here. This is a response video to the "Your $70 doesn't buy you cruelty" by this guy Mark Dara. He is from BioWare. I'll show him talking on a good speed. I'll let him introduce himself in a while so that we don't have too much spoilers. I don't want closed captions. Let's see if we can do it like this. I'll let him say a little bit. Now, interject.
Did you read the title? Did it say something like "Your $70 doesn't buy you cruelty"? Well, that's what we're going to talk about today. The fact that you bought a game that you didn't like doesn't give you the right to be cruel or unkind to the people that developed that game.
Or cruel or unkind to people because you didn't like the game. Unkind, you shouldn't be unkind to people in general, or cruel if we follow the normal definition of the word. There's no need to do that. I have seen lots of people being cruel on the internet. For example, being very, very racist. Like this, in this example. Or being cruel in general towards people who they are not fond of. Unkind. What is unkind? You need to be kind to everyone. You cannot be neutral. I don't think anyone is kind to everyone all the time. We're mostly neutral to people.
I'm going to be clear about something. I'm not saying that you have to like the thing you bought. I'm not saying even that you aren't allowed to complain about the thing you bought. You can have whatever opinion that you feel like towards a game. Even if that opinion is stupid and wrong, you are entitled to that opinion. And to some degree, you're entitled to express that opinion to the corporation, to the video game studio that created this game that you bought. You paid 70 of your own.
You cannot be unkind, except when you have a stupid opinion. You are stupid, but you cannot be unkind to me. A little hypocritical in my humble opinion. Same as in the example I showed. This kind of people usually say, oh, you need to be aware of the feelings of the people you are talking to. Then they proceed to do exactly that. Please don't do that. Also, you have the right to... Do you have the right to complain? How can you complain while being kind? I'm not sure. You have the right not to like a game you paid 70. I don't agree with this $70 price tag because it's not $70 anymore. Usually companies are putting out 130 edition, $130 editions of the game already. If you pay $70, you can only play the game later. A couple, like 3 or 5 days after the launch date. date. Because when you say, oh, you play it earlier, you're not playing it earlier, you're playing it on launch date. You're just paying the full price, which is 100 to 140. I think I saw $40. So people, there's that, oh, I hope GTA 6 costs $100 because that will be then the standard of the industry. It already is. We already have $100 games. They just don't say it is. You just, do you want a discount? You can play the game later. We already have that on lots of places. You just buy it later. On day one, as the game launches, it is already $100.
$1 for this game, and it disappointed you, and you're angry about that. That is fine. You are entitled to be angry about it. And you're entitled to express that anger in certain channels. If you are mad at that Ubisoft game, be mad at Ubisoft.
There's a fundamental misunderstanding here. Not a misunderstanding, I'd say. He's being facetious. What he's saying is, you have the right to be angry at a game you bought. You have the right to say things that about the game that you don't like, but this is not actually complaining, because when you complain about something, it's because you want changes. He will say it later. If you want to vent. Saying that you want to vent, it's not about change. You just need to vent your frustrations, and then after you vent those frustrations, you have a release of the stress you have. It's not about that. When people complain about a game that's bad, that's broken, that has bad elements that previous entries of a franchise didn't have, that people don't like, such as DI implementations, they're not complaining because they want to vent. They're complaining because they want change. I don't know if he doesn't realize it, or if he's just being facetious and disingenuous. It's most likely that.
Express your anger to Ubisoft or to the studio that made the game. But you cross a line when you start being cruel about it. So why?
What is being cruel? Is it like telling someone to end their own life because of it? I have barely seen it. We do have on the internet. We have trolls. Yes. We have people who are going to say stuff like that anyway. Don't lump us, people who play games, the game players, because remember, as the gaming journalists say, gamers are over, so we are not gamers anymore. We are game players. We're people who actually play the games, not the journalists. They don't play games. They barely finish games that they review. Oh, like 10% of the games that we review, we finish, and it's not a problem because all the other people who review games do it like that too. Yeah, because everyone is doing it, so obviously it's okay. Yeah.
Am I saying you don't get to be cruel because you spent $70? Let's walk through it. One, you shouldn't be cruel at all. What are you doing? It's a video game. You don't need to go out of your way to cause harm to other people because of a video game that you don't like.
Again, being cruel, causing harm, what is it? Is it telling someone to end their own life, wishing harm to someone, or saying that they are incompetent in their work? There's a big difference between those two categories of things. Oh, you did a poor job. Oh, end your own life. I've seen the kind of people he defends saying that to people. If I'm going to find it. Oh, someone call me on ICQ. I've seen people that he defends, the quote-unquote DEI people, the journalists, his friends, calling people, oh, end your life. I don't agree with you. You deserve to die because of your political affiliation. If you are, just for context, I'm not American, so I don't particularly care about political affiliation of United States. Whatever the president is, I just hope he does a good job. But, oh, you support ex-president, you must die. That's cruel. That's hurtful, harmful. You should not do that. That's actually against the TOS of various places. That's something you shouldn't do. If I say you did a poor job on something, that is, you made a game, you worked on a game, you did a poor job on it, I can call you out, of course. You put on your work out there for people to see, scrutinize, and give their own opinions on it. For example, this video right here you're watching, you can comment and say, oh, you're lightning, it's gonna fall me a lightning ray. Your lighting is terrible. Your mic is a mess. You don't know how to act in front of a mic. You can say whatever you want to me. You can say things to me about the work I am doing. It's your decision, it's your opinion. I'm gonna respect, I'm gonna read, see if it fits. Is it a true criticism? Oh, you're fat. Okay, I am fat. Here. You can say, oh, you're fat. Okay. You can call me whatever, but doesn't affect me. You say, oh, your lighting is bad because of X. You should have warmer lighting when recording. Nice, I'm gonna consider it. Maybe change the light bulb. Actually, I have 2 light bulbs here. They're a set. I have one cold and one warm. I don't know how it looks. I was going to say sound. How it looks to you guys? Comment below. How's the lighting? Let's keep on.
Again, I'm not saying you're not allowed to be angry about it. I'm not saying you don't get to express your dissatisfaction with the content of the game that you're not enjoying. But when you climb into someone's personal social media and start actively attacking that person, when you celebrate layoffs at a studio because the game that you don't like didn't do that well, you're crossing a line into being cruel. And
absolutely disagree. First, he said 2 different things. One is go on to someone's personal social media and attacking them. What is attacking them? I just discussed this point. The other is celebrating layoffs. Now, there's 2 kinds of layoffs. If it's a layoff because the company just wants more money, they have their financial quarter coming and they want to show more revenue, less costs, and they lay off people, it's a one, it's a stupid company that do that, because they are laying off actual talent, and it's the top brass fault. If we have a bad product being launched, as was the case, for example, with Dragon Age The Veilguard, the first person to go was the director, Corinne Bush, if I'm not mistaken. Then the writing team was let go. The writing of the game was atrocious. Of course, we're gonna celebrate, oh, we got rid of incompetent people. Companies are made to make money. They're not there to be your friend. They are not your friend. They're not there to spread the message as much as some people within the company want to spread a certain message. They are made to make money. The optimal way to make money, in the case of gaming companies, it's to have games that the majority will appreciate and buy. If you make a game that does not appeal to the majority, it will not sell. And the people who made it will be let go. If we, as consumers, as game players, expect a certain kind of experience because it was delivered to us in a certain way, because, for example, if I was to take Sonic and, oh, I want to change a few things, I want to make Sonic go slowly and be in an isometric grid instead of a 2D platformer. This game exists. It's Sonic Labyrinth. It is one of the worst rated games of all time in the context of Sonic games. Why would you make it a Sonic game? It's not a Sonic game. If you take out all elements that make a Sonic game, it's not a Sonic game anymore. People will have expectations. If we had a story of, what's the name? Sherlock Holmes. I forgot. If we had a story of Sherlock Holmes where instead of being a detective and solving a mystery, he goes on a cooking adventure, it's not Sherlock Holmes. Why would you need to write about that? There's no need. It's better served to make another character. That's why we celebrate the layoffs, because we take away incompetent people and bring in new, perhaps, hopefully, competent people. It is business. You either do your job properly or you are going to be replaced. It is the society we live in. Why would you even apply for a kind of job that you are not equipped to do? Oh, it pays well, okay, but you are not supposed to do this kind of job. If you are incompetent, you are going to get replaced, unless it's politics, in-company politics. If you want to see what politics actually is, because it's not in every game, watch later my good talk about the AI video. It's more than an hour long. It's a good watch, I promise. Let's continue.
Fundamentally, you should have more grace for other human beings. But if you're not buying that, let's go on to point 2. You don't know what caused the results that you don't like. Let's go through an example. Let's say that you don't like...
This point is also disingenuous. Oh, you don't know what caused it. We have speculation, we have brain capacity, we can't know exactly what happened if no one tells us. But if that's the case, just tell us. Oh, it's not fault of the... Let's hear him.
The line delivery on a piece of dialogue.
Is
that the fault of the voice actor? It might be, but it could be a lot of other things too. It might be the fault of the person who was directing that voice actor. Maybe they were given very specific instructions to deliver the line in this particular way. Maybe the writer who wrote that line wanted it delivered in this particular way, and the stage direction specified this particular line delivery. Maybe the recording equipment at the voice studio went down, and the only take they managed to get was this first one that was done just to set the tone, and they were just kind of out of time and stuck with it. So
this is ridiculous. I have worked, I still do, in sound production. It doesn't work like that. You don't do just one take for, oh, let's do a tryout take, and let's not try to do any more takes. How long are you going to be in the studio for? If you have a millions and millions dollar game, you will have a recording studio of your own. If you are a big company, you will bring the talent in. If you have a team, a big team, you will have a sound director that will need to be there for every recording, and he will say, oh, I didn't like this recording, take it off, let's record again. That's what a competent leader would do. If you are incompetent, get replaced. Yes, the voice actor, usually it's not at fault for a bad performance. Usually it is the lead. There's the lead designer, there's the lead graphical style, lead for sound. This is it's his fault in this case. Lead for gameplay, etc., etc. All the leads, they will be at fault, obviously. And the coordinator, the supervisor of the project, the director. The director is responsible for everything. If something goes wrong, it is the director's fault. See, Dragon Age, Corinne Bush was fired. They say, oh, I went out on my own. Yeah, of course, right before everyone else was let go. Of course, we believe you. As we say here in Brazil, this one is brother to this one. We know what's up, actually.
if you go and you start,
oh, you don't know
attacking the
who's
voice
to
actor,
blame. He makes that point. Oh, go up the chain. Go up the chain. Yes, of course, go up the chain. Let's skip a little
the
bit.
leadership of this project changed 6 times, and the direction changed 6 times, and you're getting little bits of writing from each of these different directions, and there was never adequate time to step back and rewrite it.
Then don't release it. If it's this bad, oh, we had 6 writers change. We have 6 different stories that don't fit in at all. Don't release a product like that. Remake everything. Yes, you must. If you want us to pay premium price, have a premium product.
Maybe the CEO of the entire company really wanted his nephew to be hired as a script consultant. And this guy with literally 0 experience was coming in and pushing for mandatory changes to...
Yeah. How should we know if you're not told? everyone who puts themselves out there as part of a project is subject to scrutiny. Do you want to not interact with people about the game? Don't tell anyone that you worked on the game, perhaps. Don't go around attacking people, perhaps. It is... Let's just go.
The project. How realistic are all the things I just said? Some of them are incredibly realistic. Some of them not so realistic, but I've seen things that look an awful lot like all of the things I just said. So
yeah, but for the most part, what we game players complain about is writing, it's game direction, character designs, world design, and gameplay. These are the top ones. Usually the people who try to defend themselves are incredibly hostile to the gaming community. As I said, if you don't want to have your presence out there, you just don't go there. You don't mix your personal account with your professional one. It's that easy. You don't create, for example, an account on Twitter, formerly known as X, or is it the opposite? Who knows? You don't create an account on Twitter and post there saying, "Oh, I'm the director of this game and you suck, but do buy my game and you can't complain about it. If you complain about it, you're racist, you're homophobic, you're transphobic, you're etc. You blah blah blah, you blah blah blah." If you don't want to interact with the fans, don't interact with the fans. It's easy. Video games, this is very important. I think what these people don't realize it's that video games are, as much as an art form, it is an entertainment product. It is an interactive one. We, as game players, are used to playing the game, to interacting with the game. Our involvement with the story, with the characters, with everything that the product, the entertainment, the art form provides us, it's much more than what a movie would be. It is much more than what a book, anime, live action production like a movie, soap opera, etc. I think I said movie twice, but okay. So we are going to get much more involved in the process. We are going to interact with the characters and notice discrepancies in the story much more than a movie. A movie is much more of a casual watch, I'd say, than playing a game. I say that because if you are watching this video right now, means you care about games, about the culture of games, about the relationship that we have with the games and the industry, etc. Of course we're gonna care about the game. He later says, "Oh, it's just a game." If you think like that, don't make games. If you think, "Oh, it's just a game, why do you care?" Don't make games then. Live and let people who cares about games making games. Leave and let people who wants to make an art form, to make an art product as much as it is an entertainment product, instead of just, oh, I gotta clock home my 9 to 5. What do? Oh, I make a game for ungrateful people. They are so bad. I'm so good. I'm much better than them. Ridiculous.
So when you decided to personally attack that one specific person on social media, how certain are you that it was their fault, that they are responsible for that thing that you don't like? And I'm going to tell you right now, you shouldn't be certain, because you don't know exactly what was going on within the project.
We can infer. If someone go on the, as I said twice, someone go on the internet and say, oh, I worked on this part of the game, then people are gonna assume that you worked on that part of the game because you said it. If don't say it if you don't want interaction.
You don't know the exact circumstances that resulted in that thing you didn't like. Even people who were on the project aren't always going to be absolutely certain on who is responsible for something being exactly a particular way. These projects have hundreds of people on them. Content moves around between multiple people. Unless I am the person who is actually responsible for something being a certain way, that chain of custody isn't always going to be super obvious to me. And
whose fault is this? If you have a project with hundreds of people and you don't know whose fault is that, it's probably yours. If you are on the top of a project and you don't know, if you are supervising, if you're directing, and you don't know why is the project going downhill, it's your fault. Completely. It's literally your job as director, as supervisor, to know what is happening with each step of the game. If you are incompetent, leave and tell and give way to competent people. That's how we make a good product. It's simple.
all of this isn't to say that you aren't allowed to have your own opinions, to not like the things you don't like. It's specifically to point out that you being angry at a specific person, you attacking a specific person, is often misdirected. If you feel like you're just not getting the satisfaction from yelling at a corporate Twitter channel or yelling at the studio directly, if you feel like you need to focus it down onto an actual human being, I mean, that's really sad. I'm sorry. That's very sad. And hopefully you can grow beyond that. But I will give you a couple of outlets. If you need to complain at a human being, I'm going to say you don't get to go lower than the first person in the credits. You can go higher than that, but no lower than that. The first person in the credits is the person who was, theoretically at least, in charge of the project. They are the person where at least some of the responsibility is going to lie. Now, did they have full control over what was going on in the project? No, because you could still have the CEO of the company forcing them to use the...
Ridiculous, because... I can't believe it. Let's hear it again.
If you feel like you're just not getting the satisfaction from yelling at a corporate Twitter channel.
The satisfaction of yelling at a corporate channel. Either he's really stupid or really disingenuous. When we complain, once again, it's not because we want to vent our frustrations. It's because we want the product to be better. You know what's the best customer of any company is? The one who comes and complain to your face. Why? Because they want the product to be better. They care about the product. You know what happens when the customer doesn't care? They walk away. They go away and never come back. Then you fail as a company. Then it gets sold, liquidated. Your job. Oh, I'm the first person on the credits. Your job will be gone because the company will be gone. So disingenuous, so disingenuous.
About Anthem, and we look at the credits. No shit, that's me. About Anthem, and we look at the credits. No shit, that's me. But yeah, if you feel like you need to yell at somebody for the way that Anthem is, it's much better to be yelling at someone like me, who was theoretically in charge of the project, or at least in charge of the project for some of the development time, than yelling at someone who was working on the combat or the level design or whatever. Because again, you don't know exactly what their reality is. When I was an executive producer, I got paid pretty well. And to some degree, from my perspective, some of that compensation was to act as a lightning rod for this negative discourse. It's one of the reasons why I think it is an executive producer's responsibility to have a social media presence. Because some of you, if you're still watching, will play a game and be angry about it and need to yell at a human being. And I think one of the executive producer's responsibilities is to protect his team. And part.
Two things he said that are absolutely horrible, terrible. You need to be the director of the game needs to be a lightning rod for criticism, for people yelling, and his job is to protect his team. No, your job is not to be a lightning rod to criticism. First, we should have had community managers to handle feedback and criticism and pass it on to you in a good manner. We don't have that. They're only for dealing with criticism in a censorship way. What can you do? Your job is to see the mistakes that are being made, the flaws that the game has, and the criticism that you receive is very good for that, and deal with it. Fix what's wrong. If you think your job is to protect your team, there's a reason that Anthem has failed. It's because you don't do your job properly. You never understood even what your job entails. If you disagree, tell me, how did you do your job? You literally have a camera and you are talking to us through YouTube. Answer me. Tell us. Oh, you don't know what happened there? Then tell us. Tell us how it was. Describe. Oh, it was like this, this, and this, and this. This Anthem failed because of this, and this, and this, and this. If you can't, that's because you failed as a director.
Part of protecting his team is providing that lightning rod. If you don't provide that lightning rod, then people who need to vent are going to find places to vent.
People who need to vent, people don't need to vent. People are criticizing, once again, because they want the product to be better.
We live in a social media world. Many people have some form of social media presence. If you, as the most senior person on the project, don't have a social media presence, then people are going to go and find someone else. Someone who isn't paid as well as you. Someone who doesn't necessarily have the tools to protect themselves from the toxicity that is leveled at them. I would say again that you shouldn't be targeting people directly, even the executive producer. But you know what? If you feel the need, the higher up in the organization you go, the more I'm going to say have at her. As you get beyond the executive producer and you get up into studio leadership and group leadership and the C-suite and the person in charge of the entire corporation, they share responsibility in the game you don't like being the way that it is. So if you feel the need to yell at them, again, probably don't, but...
Once again, it's not our... we don't want to yell at the one responsible. We want people to listen to us and apply the lessons that you learn from our criticism and make the game better. That's what we want. We want good games. Is it a concept so hard to understand?
They're big boys and girls, so they should be able to handle it. Well, the reality is, most of those people do not have a social media presence, do not have a way that you can yell at them directly. So a lot of times what I'm telling you is the least senior person you're allowed to yell at is the executive producer, and a lot of times the most senior person you're going to be able to yell at is the executive producer. So once again, the executive producer serves as a lightning rod for all this issue. If you feel like you're
disingenuous.
not being listened to when you complain on Metacritic, or you complain on the forums of a studio, or you complain into the social media channels of the publisher or the studio, be aware that this stuff is carefully scrutinized, not just by the social media teams, also by the teams themselves.
Scrutinize, when they say that, they mean erase all criticism and only see the good parts. Because, we can't have mean words against us.
Arguably, in a lot of cases, to too great of a degree. The team is listening, I would say often, too much to what you are yelling about and complaining about in...
Sometimes we're listening too much to your criticism. You're beneath us. We don't need to listen to you. What are you? You're just a gamer. I said the G word. Please get out of this. It's not just a high horse, it's a giraffe. You're on top of the giraffe's head.
these channels. But don't worry, you don't need to go onto their Twitter channel and yell at them directly, because they're going to hear it anyway. Be a human being, have some empathy, and stop being cruel. Stop throwing a party because a bunch of people lost their jobs, because you don't know the circumstances that resulted in the thing that you're mad at. People deserve some grace, people deserve some empathy from you, and if you can't provide that, then stay off the internet completely. One last time for the cheap seats, you are in...
It's just like that guy said, cyberbullying is not real, just close your eyes, guy. Walk away from the screen. So how is cyberbullying real? Yeah, it's just mean words on the internet you can just ignore.
Entitled to your opinion. You're entitled to be angry about a game that you bought. You paid good money for it. But try to remember that it's just a game. Even more importantly,
try to remember it's just a game. Then you don't deserve to work with games if you think it's just a game. You're dismissive of games. You don't deserve to be working with games. If you are not dedicated to it, if you don't think they're important, you don't deserve them. Well, the guy from Anthem, what can you say? Anyway, 40 minutes. I think he repeats a lot of his points. I repeated a lot of my points. Comment down below if you have any points to make. I'm going now. Thank you so very much, everyone. I will respect your opinion if you comment down below. Thank you so very much. See you next video. Bye bye.